let's say that you start a local project, be it a local server or just a Node.js project with some UI and maybe also a backend, then you're interested to see the results, which means that all the ceremony of packaging the stuff, sending it to some remote servers, fetching all the dependencies, all the cleanup, is something that we actually want to get rid of. We just want to write our code, see the results, test it, compile it, and send it to deployment, especially if you're a solo developer or this is a personal project. So there is a really cool project for that purpose exactly, and it's called Zero Server. The tagline of it is Zero Configuration Web Framework. You install it with npm install -g 0. And what this project does for you is to abstract all the project configuration. Basically, it would abstract from you the routing, which means if you place a file at a certain place, let's say login.js, then it would automatically have the path, localhost 8000 and login.js. You don't need to configure the routing. Also the bundling of the project and then the deployment of it. So Zero Server abstracts all the usual project configuration for routing, bundling, and transpiling to make it easier to get started. It allows you to build your application without worrying about package management or routing. You write your code in a mix of languages such as Node.js, React, HTML. So as we said, it abstracts out the routing, for example. So if you place a file under /API/login.js, then it's going to be exposed at http://yourdomain.com/API/login. Also, let's say that you require a package in Node.js, so you run, let's say, require _, then it is going to be automatically installed and resolved. And we can always create the package JSON to specify the actual versions. So as we said, to install the Zero Server, we run npm install -g 0. And then they give in the documentation an example of time.js, where this application, web application, returns the timestamp of the server. Okay, so they have a require moment and then result.send the time. And then after you wrote this file, note this was a single file that you wrote, time.js, and then you run 0, which starts the server. You go to localhost port 3000/time and you have it. You have a web API that returns the time. Note how we didn't mess with package.json, with installing the dependencies, with starting up the server, with routing, with choosing the routing library, with any config file. Actually, we didn't have any config files, even not package.json. The next example they give in the documentation is a React web component that calls the server. So they have JSON await fetch /time, and then the response returns the actual JSON in render of HTML. They run the Zero Server starts, and automatically again you get it. So you didn't again mess with routing, with package.json, with any configuration. It's just automatically working for you. This is pretty amazing. So you install it with npm install 0. Then you just write your files, be it React components or APIs, start the server, you have it running. This, I think, is pretty amazing, and they also handle the deployment if you want to deploy to their servers, but if you just want to check it locally, then you just use the Zero Server. So this was a brief introduction into zeroserver.io. I think it's really cool, especially for personal projects. I think also we can learn from it on how we can progress other projects to make them easier, because usually we are stuck into the concept that user need to build to run to the, and the developer just wanted to write some code to test it and to run the server. All this ceremony around is not actual work. It's something that we should get rid of. And I think Zero, as the name suggests, Zero Nothing, did an excellent work in showing us how it's possible to be so minimalistic in our writing and to assume the configuration, the routing, and the packaging. So this was Zero Server Tutorial. Thank you for listening and see you next time.